In this video, you will learn about 10 health conditions that may stop causing discomfort once onions become a regular part of your daily diet. We will explore how onions affect blood pressure, joints, blood sugar levels, the immune system, digestion, and even bone density. If you want to live an active life, free from pain and with a clear mind, this video is for you. This video is going to be incredibly informative and helpful. If you want to take control of your health like a pro, give it a like, and let's get started. 1. High blood pressure. Many older adults face the issue of unstable or elevated blood pressure. And even if you regularly take medication, that does not mean your diet does not matter. One food that can gently and naturally support your blood vessels is onion, especially red onion. The point is that red and yellow onions contain a substance called quercetin. This is a natural flavonoid with the ability to dilate blood vessels, improve their elasticity, and thereby help lower blood pressure. For older adults whose vessels may already be losing flexibility, this is especially important. According to a study published by the American Heart Association in 2022, daily consumption of 100 grams of red onion over a 6-week period helped reduce systolic blood pressure, the upper number, by an average of 5 to 7 millimeters of mercury in people over 60 years old who had early-stage hypertension. This is approximately the same effect as that of mild first-line medications. The authors of the study emphasized that this effect was only achieved through regular consumption of fresh onion, not fried or pickled. At the same time, it is important to consider your overall condition. If you have pronounced hypertension or are taking several medications at once, any dietary changes should be discussed with your healthcare provider. The best approach is to include around 100 grams of fresh red onion in your diet. For example, in salads, thin slices on a sandwich, or as an addition to main dishes. If you have a sensitive stomach, you can use sautéed onion cooked at a temperature not exceeding 90 degrees Celsius, which corresponds to 194 degrees Fahrenheit. 2. Elevated cholesterol levels. As people age, their metabolism tends to slow down and cholesterol levels in the blood often begin to rise even if a person does not consume large amounts of fatty foods. What is especially concerning is the increase in total cholesterol and triglycerides, along with a decrease in what is known as good cholesterol, high-density lipoproteins. In such cases, a simple onion can be helpful. Onions contain organic sulfur compounds that help reduce total cholesterol levels while increasing high-density lipoproteins. These compounds improve fat breakdown, help eliminate excess cholesterol from the liver, and protect blood vessel walls from buildup. Reports from the Cleveland Clinic published in 2022 note that older adults who consumed at least 75 grams of raw onion daily for 2 months experienced an average decrease in triglyceride levels by 15 to 20%. This effect was especially noticeable in people with metabolic syndrome and a tendency toward excess weight. It is important to understand that the amount of active compounds is significantly reduced in fried or pickled onions. And when combined with fats, sauces, and meat, onion loses its beneficial properties and becomes an additional burden on the liver and gallbladder. Include 70 to 100 grams of raw yellow or red onion in your daily diet. The most beneficial way is as part of salads made with extra virgin olive oil. You can also use lightly sautéed onion at a temperature not exceeding 90 degrees Celsius, which corresponds to 194 degrees Fahrenheit, if you have stomach issues. 3. Type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is one of the most common chronic conditions among older adults. It is associated not only with elevated blood sugar levels, but also with impaired sensitivity of cells to insulin, the hormone that helps glucose enter the cells. It becomes especially challenging when blood sugar levels are unstable and the body does not respond to medications as expected. Onion is one of the natural foods that can help ease the effects of insulin resistance. It contains sulfur compounds and specific antioxidants such as quercetin, which, according to American clinical observations, can improve carbohydrate metabolism. In addition, onions contain compounds that slow down the absorption of sugars in the intestines, thereby lowering glucose levels after meals. A study conducted by the Joslin Diabetes Center at Harvard University in 2022 showed that patients with type 2 diabetes who consume between 100 and 120 grams of cooked onion daily experienced, after just 4 weeks, an average reduction of fasting blood glucose levels by 12%. The effect was most noticeable in individuals at the early stages of the condition and when following a diet with a low glycemic load. Raw onion may be too harsh for the digestive system of an older person, especially if they have gastritis or other inflammatory conditions. Therefore, the best form is onion that has been steamed, or simmered in a small amount of water at a temperature not exceeding 90 degrees Celsius, which corresponds to 194 degrees Fahrenheit. In this form, onion retains its active compounds while becoming gentler and safer for the stomach. To help maintain stable blood sugar levels in type 2 diabetes, it is beneficial to include 100 to 120 grams of stewed onion in the daily diet. It should be prepared in advance at a temperature not exceeding 90 degrees Celsius, which corresponds to 194 degrees Fahrenheit, and served as a side dish or part of a main course. 4. Atherosclerosis and the risk of blood clot formation. As people age, their blood vessels gradually lose elasticity, the walls become thicker, and cholesterol deposits begin to form. This condition is called atherosclerosis, and it is one of the main causes of cardiovascular complications in older adults. The situation becomes especially dangerous when atherosclerosis is accompanied by increased blood clotting, which can lead to the formation of clots. Onion contains unique phytochemical compounds that work in 2 ways. They improve blood vessel function and reduce the activity of platelets, the cells responsible for blood clotting. One of the most active compounds is quercetin, which helps prevent excessive platelet clumping and reduces blood viscosity. This helps prevent vessel blockages and promotes better circulation, even in the smallest capillaries. According to data from the American College of Cardiology, published in 2023, consuming between 70 and 100 grams of onion daily for 6 weeks led to a 16% reduction in platelet aggregation levels among older adults, showing early signs of atherosclerosis. The most significant improvements were seen in individuals who did not consume excess salt or saturated fats. It is important to remember that raw onion may irritate the stomach lining, especially in people with ulcers or gastritis. Therefore, it is best to eat onion in stewed or baked form at a temperature of around 85 degrees Celsius, which corresponds to 185 degrees Fahrenheit, in order to preserve the maximum amount of active compounds without causing digestive discomfort. To support blood vessels and reduce the risk of blood clot formation, it is recommended to regularly include up to 100 grams of stewed or baked onion in your diet, especially as part of light vegetable dishes, while avoiding frying and intense heat treatment. 5. Chronic joint inflammation, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis. After the age of 60, inflammatory joint conditions become especially common. Many people begin to experience morning stiffness, joint pain with changes in the weather, and reduced joint flexibility. Most often, these issues involve conditions such as osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. Although these conditions require a comprehensive approach, including medical supervision, certain foods can offer additional support in reducing inflammation. One of these foods is common bulb onion. It contains sulfur compounds and flavonoids, including quercetin, which have the ability to suppress the production of pro-inflammatory markers. Researchers have paid particular attention to interleukin-6 and C-reactive protein, substances that increase in the body during chronic inflammation and play a key role in the breakdown of joint tissue. A study conducted by the University of California, Davis in 2020-21 showed that in people over the age of 60 who consumed between 80 and 100 grams of raw onion daily for 8 weeks, levels of inflammatory markers decreased by an average of 18%. In addition, participants reported reduced morning stiffness and fewer pain episodes in the small joints of the hands and feet. The best results were seen with regular consumption of onion in salads without heat treatment. However, for people with sensitive stomachs, it is acceptable to use stewed or baked onion at a temperature not exceeding 90 degrees Celsius, which corresponds to 194 degrees Fahrenheit. This preparation method preserves most of the anti-inflammatory compounds without overloading the digestive system. To support joint health and reduce inflammation, it is recommended to consume between 80 and 100 grams of raw or stewed onion daily, preferably as part of salads made with cold-pressed vegetable oil or as a side dish to a main course. 6. Respiratory infections and colds. As people get older, the body's immune defenses weaken, and individuals over the age of 60 become more susceptible to seasonal colds and respiratory infections. Any exposure to cold, drafts, or contact with someone who is sick can lead to coughing, a runny nose, or even bronchitis. That is why it is important not only to avoid getting chilled, but also to support the respiratory system through proper nutrition. Onion has natural antiseptic properties due to its high content of phytoncides, essential oils, and allicin, a compound that becomes active when the vegetable is cut. These substances help suppress the growth of bacteria, soothe the mucous membranes of the respiratory tract, and stimulate mucus discharge from the bronchi, making it easier to cough up. According to internal protocols, long-term care facilities in New York and Philadelphia began using onion and honey mixtures in 2022 as a non-medication approach to support elderly patients at the first signs of seasonal infections. Staff observations showed that when warm onion syrup with honey was used regularly, complications from colds occurred 1.6 times less often, and episodes of coughing were milder among nursing home residents. Traditional onion syrup is made by gently simmering finely chopped onion in water or milk at a temperature of about 70 degrees Celsius, which corresponds to 158 degrees Fahrenheit, followed by the addition of honey. The result is a thick liquid with a mild taste, typically taken 1 tablespoon 2 to 3 times a day. At the first signs of a cold or as a preventive measure during flu season, it is beneficial to use warm onion syrup prepared with water or milk at a temperature of about 70 degrees Celsius, which corresponds to 158 degrees Fahrenheit, with the addition of natural honey. 7. Weakened immune system. As a person gets older, the immune system inevitably becomes weaker. This shows up in the form of more severe colds, more frequent infections, and longer recovery times. These changes are especially noticeable during the colder months when viral exposure increases and the body responds less actively to illness-causing agents. During this time, it is especially important not only to stay warm, but also to strengthen immune defenses through nutrition. One food that can naturally support the immune system is common bulb onion. When it is chopped, it releases an active compound called allicin. This compound has antibacterial and antiviral properties, and most importantly, it stimulates the activity of macrophages. These are special immune cells that engulf and neutralize viruses, bacteria, and other harmful agents. According to a review published by the National Cancer Institute in collaboration with the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health in 2022, the consumption of foods high in allicin, including onions, increased the activity of innate immunity by 24% during periods of seasonal viral exposure. Among older adults who consumed fresh onion daily, there were fewer cases of colds and milder symptoms when infections did occur. To get the greatest benefit, it is important to eat onion raw immediately after chopping. This is when the allicin concentration is at its peak. Within 10 to 15 minutes after cutting, the activity of the compound starts to decrease, especially if the onion is cooked. To stimulate the immune system, it is recommended to consume a small amount of freshly chopped onion daily, between 40 and 60 grams, adding it to salads or cold dishes right after preparation to preserve as much allicin as possible. 8. Digestive disorders and bile stagnation. Slow digestion, bloating, a feeling of heaviness after meals, and constipation are common complaints among people over the age of 60. These conditions are often caused by reduced activity of digestive enzymes, sluggish intestinal motility, and bile stagnation. Supporting these processes through natural foods is an important part of preventing more serious issues. Onion helps stimulate the production of gastric juice, promotes the release of bile from the gallbladder, and speeds up the movement of contents through the intestines. This effect comes from its essential oils, sulfur-containing compounds, and specific organic acids. In addition, onion activates the receptors in the stomach lining, encouraging the digestive system to function more actively. According to recommendations published in 2023 by the Gastroenterology Department of the Mayo Clinic, including boiled or stewed onion in the diets of older adults without peptic ulcer disease can help relieve constipation, reduce bloating, and improve bile flow. It is important to note that raw onion may irritate the stomach lining in people with gastritis or ulcers and could trigger a flare-up. To avoid harming the stomach lining while still supporting digestion, it is best to use stewed or boiled onion prepared at a temperature not exceeding 90 degrees Celsius, which corresponds to 194 degrees Fahrenheit. In this form, onion gently stimulates the gastrointestinal tract without causing excessive irritation. To improve digestion and support bile flow, it is recommended to consume between 80 and 100 grams of stewed or boiled onion at lunchtime as part of vegetable side dishes or soups, while avoiding spicy seasonings and large amounts of oil. 9. Osteoporosis. After the age of 60, bone density begins to decrease in most people. This is especially relevant for postmenopausal women when estrogen levels drop sharply, and with them the body's ability to retain calcium in the bones also declines. As a result, bones become more porous and fragile. This condition is called osteoporosis and is associated with an increased risk of fractures, even from minor injuries. One of the foods that can play a supportive role in preventing osteoporosis is bulb onion. Onion contains organic sulfur compounds that are involved in the synthesis of collagen, a protein that forms the basis of bone, cartilage, and connective tissue. Onion also contains compounds that help reduce the activity of osteoclasts, the cells responsible for breaking down bone tissue. Together, these effects contribute to more stable retention of minerals within the bone structure. According to a study conducted by the Jean Mayer USDA Human Nutrition Research Center on Aging at Tufts University in 2022, women between the ages of 60 and 75 who consumed onion at least 3 times per week for 1 year had bone density in the hip area that was 5.1% higher compared to those who did not consume onion at all. This difference remains significant even after accounting for calcium and vitamin D intake. To strengthen bones, raw or lightly stewed onion is especially beneficial as it preserves the active sulfur-containing compounds. When onion is boiled or fried at temperatures above 120 degrees Celsius, which corresponds to 248 degrees Fahrenheit, some of these compounds are destroyed, so gentler cooking methods are preferable. To support bone health, it is recommended to consume bulb onion at least 3 times per week in raw or stewed form, adding it to salads, vegetable stews, or legume-based dishes. 10. Stomach and intestinal cancer. The health of the gastrointestinal tract largely depends on the types of foods we consume regularly. Some foods help protect the mucus lining and prevent the buildup of carcinogenic substances, while others can contribute to harmful changes. One food that has been recognized for its strong protective effect on the cells of the stomach and intestines is common bulb onion. Onion contains organic sulfur compounds and flavonoids, which have antioxidant properties and can suppress the proliferation of abnormal cells. These substances also help prevent the formation of nitrosamines, compounds that can develop in large quantities during the digestion of processed meats and smoked products, and are considered a risk factor for malignant conditions in the stomach and intestines. A meta-analysis conducted by the Keck School of Medicine at the University of Southern California in 2023 included data from 13 studies conducted in the United States between 2010 and 2022. According to the results, people who regularly consumed onion and garlic at least 4 times per week for a period of 10 years had a 22% lower risk of developing colorectal cancer compared to those who did not include these foods in their diet. This effect occurs with long-term and consistent consumption of onion, especially in raw or stewed form. It is especially beneficial to combine onion with plant-based fats, such as cold-pressed olive oil, which enhances the absorption of antioxidants. To support the health of the stomach and intestines and reduce the risk of tumor development, it is recommended to consume bulb onion 4 to 5 times per week as part of salads, side dishes, or stewed meals in combination with vegetable oils. Next, I recommend checking out these videos, and don't forget to leave your likes and comments. I'm looking forward to them.